I've heard many reasons why a place becomes abandoned. I've heard some that are better than others, but I've never heard a really good excuse for it. Some are sad stories, like a family member owned the home and they just couldn't bring themselves to go back in it because the memories were just too much for them to deal with. But I don't think allowing a house to just sit and rot is a solution. I believe the abandonment of family can sometimes be the worst, and sometimes is caused by grudge, by someone in the family who thinks they deserve more than the rest of the family. It's like parents who pass away and leave their home and their property to all their children, with the thought that they will split it and share it fairly. But then there's that one child who thinks they deserve it more than the others, and they fight against them on every move to sell the place. That's kind of how this house, my grandparents' house, ended up. This house belonged to my grandmother and my grandfather. They bought it many years ago. Well, first they bought the property because they loved the property. It sits on top of a hill and overlooks the valley below. It was a beautiful location. At that time, all the trees and brush were cleared away. They had a swing that you could sit out on and just swing out and look over out into the valley. I remember this as a child and how beautiful it was. They bought this home. It was an older home when they purchased it, and they had it moved here. And they went to the river on weekends, and they would collect river rocks and bring them back in truckloads, and they rocked the outside of this house. They did this work, this labor, by themselves. Pretty amazing job. They were simple folks. They didn't like fancy things. My grandfather was a self-taught veterinarian, and my grandmother, she worked in a nursing home. So today is a story I'm going to tell you about my grandparents' house and how it became an abandoned beauty. Seeing this house like this is quite a shock. My memories are of smelling Grandma in the kitchen frying chicken while sitting on the front porch with my grandpa, who, while smoking a pipe, tells me stories of our Irish ancestors as they came over to this country. Not of this. This used to be my grandparents' bedroom. Look at it now. And all of this happened because an aunt who married into the family insisted on taking control of the place. I don't understand how someone could just sit back and allow this to happen. I decided to go around the back and go into the back of the house. Although I have heard that it's a lot worse in the back end because it was an added addition later on. But I go back there anyway, and I check it out. Because of a section of the roof that had caved in, it had caused mold to start building in the house, so there's white mold growing up the walls. Some of my grandfather's shirts are still hanging in this closet. Although it's hard to believe anything could be worse than the front of the house, it is definitely worse back here. Caught between anger and tears, I decided it was better to just let Pat take the camera and do the videoing from here on.
This spot right here is really sketchy. You can see kind of down into the basement right there, or the crawl space underneath. But you can see the roof is caved in there. So that floor is all rotted through there. An old clock. I think it's an old battery powered clock. I don't think it's actually has a movement or anything in it. Floor is caving in there. Looks like an old water heater, I think, right there. Falling through. The wash machine falling through the floor. The kitchen in here is really pretty solid. But eventually, I mean, you can see that's starting to fall. This is going to end up rotten. Man, it's pretty sad. That whole section has fallen through, and all that furniture is caved in. So see, you can hear it. That's basically just carpet stapled to the edge. I'm not going to walk on it. I'm just going to stick my hand around here. You can see it's all caved in.
One time, this was my grandfather's music room. It was filled with music instruments, including a piano.
All kinds of stuff left behind. Man. Ceiling. Man. Alright, I think I about filmed as much as I can. I'm going to come on out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hug the wall here.
Whoa, it moved.
I know. Listen, you can hear it.
Now, it was common knowledge that my grandfather did not believe in banks, so he kept his money in his home. And according to my mom, they hid it under the house in mason jars. She said she knew this because since she was the shortest one in the family, her brother sent her under the house to find the jars. So we decided to check this story out and go under the house and see what we could find.
Alright, we got a film. Try to get underneath here.
And what we found were a lot of empty mason jars. So if there was ever money under here, it was taken a long time ago. So before we left, I decided to check out the storage building to see if there were any old memories left behind. And like the house, it was pretty much ransacked and anything of value had been removed. And hanging on an old rusty nail, I found some of my grandfather's welding glasses. These went home with me. Pat and I care about every abandoned building that we have gone in. We love them, and we feel the sadness in the walls to know that the family would just walk away and not want the stuff that's left behind. All the years of those people that lived there and their lives and their stories just left there to rot away. I hope you never have to experience what I did, seeing my grandparents' house in this condition. Hopefully no one in your family will ever do anything like this. The next video is about an abandoned house a man received after his sister passed away, and the house actually belonged to her husband's family. But this one's a little bit different than the way mine played out. So be sure you watch it because it's really good. I think you guys are really going to like this place. There is so much stuff left behind. I'm hoping we can get it all in just one video. Thanks for going on this very sentimental journey with me. We'll see you next time. Bye.